Thank you for recognizing California. Mr. Garcia. Mr. Aguilar, excuse me. I had Garcia on the mind. Next question. Excuse me.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and appreciate my colleague from Arkansas noting the partnership in California. So I'll skip that question, and obviously thankful to the Ukrainian people for the fight, the Ukrainian Security Assistance Initiative, and the PDA, obviously, for the sustained and unwavering support and the leadership that the President Zelensky and President Biden have worked with the international community in order to further assistance deliveries. My question is about drawdowns and depleted stocks, and I'd like both of you to ask about this, to answer what actions are we taking to replenish these stocks. Assistant Secretary, you talked about some munitions in your testimony, but what's given the drawdown authority transfers, where are we looking at? What are the concerns that we have in the near term with respect to the industrial base and the challenges that we have ahead given the drawdowns?
Thank you, Congressman. So let me highlight that first, before we even have to worry about replenishing, any decision about providing a capability to Ukraine looks first, after the assessment of what's required, at what the implications for providing that capability from our stocks would be on our readiness. And there is a process of assessing whether a drawdown in a particular capability, whether that's ammunition, artillery, counter UAS, radars, all across the capabilities, whether the reduction would implicate in a negative way any readiness concerns. And the services, all the services play a role in every decision. So that is baked into our decisions about what to procure or draw down for the Ukrainians. Secondly, your funding for PDA includes replenishment. So that is built in as part of the process. As soon as there's a decision to draw down from existing stocks, to begin the process of working on replenishment. So it is it's not a sequential, it's parallel process. And the third is, again, in large measure because of Congress's provision of more flexibility in procurement, we've been able, my colleagues in acquisition and sustainment have been able to work with industry to look at how to ramp up production capacity and timelines, and part of that has been being able to procure over multiple years so that companies were seeing the effects of them being willing to invest in supply chains. So for example, 155 millimeter production, which was at about 14,000 a month, is now already up to 15,000 a month, which I know doesn't sound too exciting, but by the end of the year, it should be up over 20,000 a month because of the investments that have been made. With a few years down the road, the goal is 85,000 a month. So it really does make a difference that we have that timing horizon so that we can work with industry and they know that their investments will pay off with longer term acquisition.
General?
Sir, when I first time I went to the Pentagon, the North Koreans were shooting missile after missile, and there was this view that something might happen on the peninsula. This is 6 years ago, and I was on the Army staff working for General Milley as the chief at the time. And the book that was essentially mandatory reading was a book called, I think it was Freedom's Forge, and essentially what it did was talk about the fact that our success in World War II was not because we started when we did, but because we started years before that. And people like Kaiser working concrete and getting into shipbuilding from how we were doing our aircraft and tanks with assembly lines. I mentioned earlier that I think we in the military have learned a lot of lessons that will be beneficial to us in the future. I'd like to think that as a country we're learning many of the same lessons. So as it relates to the defense industrial base, and this is this is not my bailiwick, but as it relates to the defense industrial base, that some of the things we're seeing now will prepare us in the future should, and I don't think we're going to get there, sir, but should they be necessary, we have those types of equipment and ammunition available to us. I'm not sure we would have seen that had we not been trying to help Ukraine the way we are now.
General, what can you tell me about the maintenance and sustainment of the Ukrainian forces, and then in the kind of 2 to 5 year window, especially when it comes to industrial base and drawdowns.
Crazy wild. I mean, so it's
Is that an official military?
probably not. Probably not. Sir, this is crazy. If you told me I was going to command a battalion, and in that battalion I would have Bradley fighting vehicles, I would have Swedish CV-90s, I'd have artillery systems from Italy, I would tell you, my first question would be, how am I going to sustain that? And so we asked that same question. In fact, Secretary Austin and the chairman are very concerned with the ability to sustain the force that the Ukrainians are being provided. What we've learned over the last year is that where there is a will, there is a way. I'll give you an example, and I don't think this is classified. I hope it's not. So last year in Poland, when the 777s were being handed off, there was a warrant officer 2, chief warrant officer 2, maintenance officer, and she mentioned to the Ukrainian that was leaving with an M777, she said, hey, if you have any problems with it, call me. Well, that has created this network of communications that is allowing the Ukrainians to sustain a number of their systems now. And it's really something. And I would encourage you, if you get a chance, to go forward to Poland and see that in person. It's pretty inspiring. And it's not just in Poland. That's the other piece. It's all over different places because of their ability to connect. I think if you apply that level of ingenuity and that level of effort against the problem, I think what we'll see is that over time, we will find wrinkles. We're going to find areas where when you don't have a common set of equipment, it becomes more difficult. But I think we'll find where people overcome that with ingenuity and creativity, and then we are able to supplant that with some basic systems that may be more helpful in the long term.
Thank you, General. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know this is your first hearing in this forum. Congratulations, and look forward to working with you.
Thank you, Mr. Aguilar. I appreciate that. The next question